Hello Tennos, today's video is going to be about Khora, specifically on her first ability, and we will cover the rest of her in another video. The reason why is because I'll also be solving an issue players been having when deciding between which is better, having more weight on an element so that it procs what you want versus having more status chance so that you proc more often but run a risk of proccing stuff you don't want. It is actually very interesting, and if you're a serious Warframe builder, you will definitely like what you're about to see. So let's talk about that first before going into a deeper look on Khora's Whipclaw. I have talked about status procs and the weight it holds before in an older video, but not how to balance between them to get the best results. So in case you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm going to give you an example for what I mean. So here I have the Shaku. The Shaku is a very good weapon for testing because it is very simple. It has only impact in it, right? So let's say, because the Shaku also attacks really fast, let's say I want to mod this Shaku such that it does a lot of corrosive damage against a heavy Grineer. So let's have the basic mods on. Pressure point. Now I'm just gonna throw in some stuff that may or may not be the best build, but the whole idea, what I'm trying to share here is that let's say we somehow manage to fill up 4 of the slots with something that we want, something useful and something important. So we only have 4 slots left, and we have to decide at this point what to use. Should you go for, because we know that we want corrosive, so should you go for a corrosive dual stat mods and then followed by two pure elemental mods to increase the corrosive damage so that when it procs, which it has 55% to do so, if it procs, you have more chance of proccing corrosive instead of impact. So in case you did not watch the first video that I made about this topic, IPS, which is the impact, puncture, and slash damage, has 4 times more weight over elemental damage. So over here, although it says 1 to 1, and you can see corrosive is obviously a lot higher, it will still proc impact more often than corrosive. So that is the situation now. But having 55% like that, or should you remove this and put in where is it? Where's my dual stat mods? I'm blind. Oh, there you go. So, or you can put in this two to increase your status chance to 85% instead of 55%, so you proc a lot more often, but you run a risk of it proccing blast as well. So you have now corrosive impact and blast. So which one will actually give you the most chance of proccing corrosive? And that is something that we want to check. That is something that we want to figure out, because a lot of people have this kind of issue where they come down to, should I have more status chance or should I increase the weight of that particular element? Or for example, slash is quite the meta, so should they focus on having buzzkill, or should they focus on having all these dual stat mods on? So what I've managed to come up with is a simple spreadsheet. Now I've already pre-implemented all the values so that you get a quick analysis of it. Let me just zoom in a little bit. That's too much. Okay, and I made some duplicates because you want to compare. So that's the reason why I made. Otherwise, when you reuse this spreadsheet, you may forget the previous value and you're not sure again. So okay, so this is the first scenario, impact at 1 to 1. So let me just show you the first scenario real quick here. There you go. So impact 1 to 1, corrosive 363. So if you come over here, you'll see that impact 1 to 1, element A can be anything, so in this case it's corrosive, is 363. Now the total status chance that we have when we put just 2 dual stat mod on the Shaku is 55%. So you type here 55%. Now you're only supposed to play with the boxes that is colored in this peach color, pink, I don't know what color this is. And what happened is it'll calculate the weight. So because IPS has 4 times more, so you increase it by 4 times, this is the total, and then it will calculate the probability percentage chance of proccing. So here you can see that proccing impact, it has a 31.4%. Proccing corrosive, which is the thing that you want this to be as high as possible, is 23.6%, and there is a 45% chance of not doing anything, like not proccing anything, because you only have a status chance of 55%. So with this, just by inserting the values here, you can calculate how much percentage you are actually getting. Now let's take a look at the second scenario. So second scenario is that instead of having more weight on corrosive, I increase the status chance. Oh boy, where is it again? I found one. Where's the other one? Sorry about this. There you go. Okay, so now I have 85% status chance. My corrosive is 145.2, 145.2 for blast, and impact is still 121. So let's take a look at the second scenario, which is over here. So 121, 145.2. Let's just add that in to make it a little bit more accurate. Alright, and now it calculated the total weight and the weight of all your elements. You'll realize that the chance of proccing, so element A is the corrosive, element B in this case is blast. So you can see that it is way lesser than the first one. So the first one for corrosive, you have a 23.6%. Right now, because you have an extra element into it, so the system has to allocate chance for that thing to proc as well. So it actually dilutes your probability of proccing corrosive. So it went down and now it's only 15.9. And since you have an 85% chance of proccing something, there is a 15% chance of not proccing anything. Now there are multiple ways of going about it, and let's say we were to increase the weight by having one fever strike on, but we also have another dual step mod. So it does dilute the pool, but corrosive still has quite a lot of weight. However, it's still not as much as impact. So if you were to run these numbers, 254, 121, 72 onto the spreadsheet, you'll see this scenario over here. Okay, 121, 254, 72, and the status chance is 70%. Okay, and you'll get a 21.9%, almost 22% chance of proccing corrosive. So it's still not as good as the first scenario, but it's better than having 4 dual stat mods on. And then you can also try with, instead of having this, you can actually put in, let's say, drifting contact. So this one does not dilute the pool, increasing the weight of another element, but instead it will give you some status chance and an added bonus for increasing combo duration. So let's see, in this case, 254, 121, and the status chance is 65, right? So you come back down to this scenario. So 121, 254, 65, and you have a 22.4%. It's actually better than this one and this one, but it's still not as good as the first scenario, where you have 23.6% to proc corrosive. So it's not always about status chance, it's also about the weight of the element that you want to proc. Now with that said, how much you need, or rather what you need to increase your damage, is a different question. It's a different, this one only tells you how often you can actually proc something. In my opinion, out of all those examples, I might actually go for the last scenario, because by sacrificing just 1% of status chance to proc corrosive, you will actually have added 10 seconds to the duration of your combo counter. So I think it's a worthy trade. However, the first one still has the most initial damage because it's running 2 elemental mods that gives how much? 90% damage. So there is a lot of debate, and depending on how you're actually playing, because in the long run the fourth one might win, but if you're just like using it for initial damage, then maybe the first one's better. Now with that said, how you use the spreadsheet can also be different. Like in all those examples, we had 4 slots to play with. Imagine what happened if you only have 3. Should you put in this one? Should you put in drifting contact instead of this one? Should you put in a dual stat mod? Or let's say we know that this one is the best so far, but what if you have an extra slot to play with? Should you put in drifting contact? Should you put in a dual stat mod? Should you put in focus energy to increase the damage of corrosive even more? Now let's talk about Khora's first ability, but before we get into it, just take a look at this clip. So Whipclaw is indeed really strong, especially since you can increase its damage with power strength, some melee mods, and it synergizes with her ability to give you more damage. I would like to add that everything I just mentioned are all separate multipliers, and if you have been following my channel long enough, you would know how powerful that is. These are some of the mods included that it could benefit from. And also at the same time, they also mention things that like mods that they will not benefit from. However, there is still a lot of mods not listed here, and it's still a question mark. And so what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to clear up as many of the other mods that I've tested and let you guys know if it works or if it doesn't work. So condition overload sadly doesn't work, even though it's a very powerful mod. Then we have lasting sting that increases the duration. That doesn't work either. Gladiator might. The critical damage aspect of it does, but the critical chance part, the set bonus, does not. So from my testing, I basically put on whatever gladiator set that I have. Sadly, it's only 3 out of the 6, and I try to get my combo multiplier as high as possible, but I couldn't see it increasing my critical chance, so I don't think it works. But again, I could be just really unlucky. Next is Shattering Impact, and this one basically works if whatever output damage that you do has impact on it. So in this case, Khora's first ability does have impact in it, and it's supposed to reduce the armor of the enemy, but it doesn't work either. So basically, when I say it doesn't work, I mean that the mod or the effects of the mod is not carried over to Whipclaw. Next one is Randless Combination. That doesn't work either. Energy Channel, the idea was kind of cool, but then it doesn't work either. So basically, because it's ability, right? So you'll be using energy, and then with that energy, you'll be charging up your melee attack, and then when you use the Whipclaw, it boosts the damage, but sadly it doesn't stack that way. Instead, it will just charge up your melee weapon until you use a normal melee attack, it will discharge. Next is Covert Lethality. Now we talked about this in Wiki where it says it doesn't work, and it's true. The lethal damage on the finisher does not work, but the extra 100 damage does apply. Now this is a flat damage, even things like pressure point does not increase that damage, so it's not very useful. So but I just want to let you guys know that it kind of works now. And I think the reason why the lethal damage may not have worked is because you need to do a finisher damage, and with Khora's first ability, I couldn't seem to do any finisher whatsoever with that ability. So one of the ways that you can actually test is that in a simulacrum, if you pause an enemy and use a melee attack on the enemy, it will do finisher damage. But with Khora's Whipclaw, it doesn't seem to proc any finisher damage. Another way I tested it, because I really wanted to see how high the damage can go, is I use a ZT. So ZT, if you guys are not familiar with, the shots can open enemies to finisher. So I opened the enemy to finisher and then I tried whipping him. It did not work either. So with that in mind, I also tried things like where is it? Finishing touch, because it could be, since you're whipping, right, it could be a sort of like a slam damage, or maybe it's doing a ground finisher, maybe. And ground finishers and actual finishers are a little bit different. So I tried that, it didn't work. I also tried things like seismic wave, hoping that it's a ground, sort of like a slam damage, but it's not, so it didn't work. Then I started thinking about ways to heal myself, in which I tried healing return, which also didn't apply, and also I've tried life strike, which also did not work. For life strike, basically what I did was I put on life strike, I equip my melee, and then I channel, and then I whip. I realized that the moment you whip, you actually release your melee weapon and change into that whip. But what's interesting is that you are still channeling. So you can actually see the aura when you're channeling, the white lines. It's still there when you whip, but sadly that does not work either. So no channeling ability seems to apply. And that's pretty much it. If you have a mod that you realize that it works, and it works very well, do let me know down in the comments. I would like to try it out. Having a max range Khora is very beneficial, especially because of the second ability, being able to pull enemies from a very large range and also through walls. The first ability also benefits this greatly. The blast damage at the end of the whip is actually limited to only 200% range. However, the casting range is not limited, and it could go up as high as depending on how much range mod you put on. Now, one concern is that it might actually hit the enemy, as in it doesn't hit the enemy because it hits past the enemy, and because that blast range is limited, so it kind of misses enemy right in front of you. But that is actually not really a concern, because you can aim down and it will go as far as it can. But if there is an obstacle, it will actually land early, so you can just aim towards the enemy's floor and do that kind of damage, or maybe you can aim at the enemy directly, and that will work as well. Okay, now on to the build. The one that you saw me actually one-hitting a level 145 heavy gunner is this build. And I wouldn't recommend using this build because it's very inconsistent. What I mean is that in order to kill that level 145 heavy gunner in one whip, you kind of need to have your critical and your slash proc both happen at the exact same time after you cast your second ability. So if that were to happen, it will kill a heavy gunner instantly. If not, the damage is actually not that significant. So I'm gonna show you. Over here we have 8 heavy gunners. I'm gonna pull them. Wait, let me just make sure my cat don't start attacking. Okay, I'm gonna pull them together and I'm gonna whip. Now you saw one out of so many proc, slash, and crit at the same time, and I would say that's kind of lucky. So let's try it again. Do you get any? Nope, none at all. Okay, let's try that again. Let me get some energy. Okay. Oh, okay, we're kind of lucky. We got 3, I think we got 4, and we got 1 which is a normal bleed. So yeah, it's not consistent enough for me to recommend it. So over here at my channel, I don't really tell you guys specifically how to build or mod a Warframe or weapon, but I do try my best to share with you ideas in helping you to do so. So for Khora, if I'm not playing her as a CC frame, which I'll talk about in the next video, I do like to play her first ability, Whipclaw, and I like to go with gas. Now the reason why is because most likely you're gonna pair it up with your second ability to pull the enemies in, and since gas is somewhat AoE, it will actually cause it to proc among a lot of them, and that is what that could actually make this really good. So in one hit it does a pretty good amount of procs. If you proc on 2 enemies, then they all potentially will get like each one will get 2 DOT procs on them. So the more the enemies are closer together, the more chances of more than just one gas procking, and the more DOT damage you're gonna see. Now the longer I fight, the stronger I actually get, because in my build I have drifting contact on, and combo counter is going to increase both my base damage and my DOT damage. So as you can see right now, one hit can kill a lot of them already. So this is just one of the ways that I like to play Khora. If you have a different way of playing her, do let me know down in the comments. If you even use Whipclaw at all, do let me know down in the comments as well. And I think that is pretty much it for this video. Do like and subscribe if you like the casual brainstorming that we have here with this channel. I do stream every Tuesdays, and also I do post gameplays on Fortnite. Now that is only because my current addiction is somewhat with Fortnite, but I am still playing Warframe and can't wait for the sacrifice to come out. I'm really hyped for it, and I want to see what kind of interesting lure is in store for us. So until then, until the next video, I'll see you guys again. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye. One more thing before I go, I learned this yesterday from the people at my Discord. They are all really kind, sharing stuff. So what you basically could do is you can get a freebie from this website, which is called humblebundle.com, and you want to come over here, search for Warframe, click view, and then it'll bring you to this page. Scroll down. Oh yeah, do take note that you have only about 4 days left by the time you see this video, or by the time this video is being uploaded. You have about 4 days left, so make sure you rush and get it before it expires. Now the things that you can get is a Foxglove Sidana, which is a cosmetic, 200,000 credits, and also 3-day affinity plus resource booster. Okay, if you do not want any newsletter, just untick this and put in your email and then submit. Then you should get another email to your inbox, and you have to open that, click some few buttons, and then you're done. You also have to sign up to this website, but everything is really easy. I'll actually find a link and post it down in the description so that you can actually see how someone else did it, in case you have trouble following the steps. Do make sure that you are on PC, because I don't think that it's available on consoles. So it's a PC only exclusive sort of freebie. Again, make sure you get it. You have only 4 days left. Yep, that's pretty much it. Bye bye again.